But we have to work hard, always, harder in some respects than ever, to contain COVID-19 and keep our economy open for business. We also want to keep this virus out of our communities as we head into the fall so we can give our kids a chance to get back to school. After analyzing the public health data and working with health officials, our administration is announcing a new set of initiatives aimed to continue to contain and stop the spread of COVID-19 and to ramp up enforcement of the many COVID orders we've issued. Some initiatives will be effective statewide. Others will be more targeted to communities that are struggling currently with the spread of COVID in their towns. In some respects, we're entering a new phase in our battle against COVID-19. As I mentioned earlier, we've seen statewide metrics that have been on the decline for several months. But after studying the recent increase in percent positive rates, we'll begin reporting additional town-by-town data starting next Wednesday that shows the spread of COVID-19 at the community level. This information will be posted on a weekly basis. I'd now like to announce some updates with respect to our statewide guidance. Due to that slight uptick in positive cases, we are indefinitely postponing Step 2 of Phase 3 in our reopening process. 5 weeks ago, we laid out new economic sectors that could open in Phase 3. This uptick in cases and reports of people not adhering to the guidance we have put forth here in Massachusetts means we cannot move forward at this time or any time soon in the near future. There have been many reports of pool parties, birthday parties, holiday parties, 4th of July parties, all of which have been documented in great detail by our contact tracing teams that have demonstrated that parties that have been held in people's homes and their backyards have contributed significantly to community spread and new COVID clusters. These parties are too big, too crowded, and people are simply not being responsible about face coverings, social distancing, or any of the major metrics that we've put in place to help people manage the spread of this virus. People who are too familiar with many of their most familiar friends in large gatherings and large settings, indoors or outdoors, when it comes to dealing with this virus, put themselves, their families, and their neighborhoods at risk. And the contact tracing data that we've been working with shows that time and time again, if you give this virus an opportunity to move, it will. The new executive order that I'm signing today will reduce the limit on outdoor gatherings from 100 to 50 people effective Tuesday, August 11th. The inside gathering limit will remain at 25. Folks attending outdoor gatherings must ensure that guests maintain 6 feet of social distance and face coverings are required. We've also extended this guidance to apply to all types of locations and venues on both public and private property. Additionally, we are updating our restaurant guidance to make absolutely clear that alcoholic beverages may only be served for on-site consumption if accompanied by food prepared on-site. Bars are closed in Massachusetts, and bars masquerading as restaurants also need to be closed. Previously, health and inspection officials have been tasked with enforcing many of these COVID orders. Today, I'm authorizing all state and local police officers to enforce these orders, and event hosts who violate these orders will be subject to fines. We've learned a lot about this virus since March, and we've ramped up our resources and guidance in many cases based on what we've learned to stop and slow the spread. We've seen a slight uptick upwards across a number of communities here in the Commonwealth, and our goal is to identify those communities through public health data, increased enforcement, and to help amplify awareness in those communities so that the residents and businesses in those communities can practice the vigilance that's required to help them deal with their outbreaks. To execute this mission today, we're announcing the creation of a COVID enforcement and intervention team. This team will be charged with 2 main tasks. ramping up enforcement in key communities, and coordinating local intervention efforts at the local level in high-risk communities. Communities will be designated as higher-risk COVID-19 communities based on public health data that evaluates rising trends for metrics like new positive cases and the percentage of positive COVID tests. We'll also announce the higher-risk communities next week. We still have some homework to do in terms of reaching out to and engaging the communities that, based on the public health data, are going to fall into this higher risk category, and we want to make sure we have a chance to talk to them and to start beginning the process of integrating our efforts with theirs before we name names. The COVID enforcement and intervention team will take several steps to address the spread of COVID-19, working with our colleagues again, in many cases, in local government. First, on the statewide enforcement piece, MEMA and the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security will bring together multiple state agencies to coordinate our efforts. This will include local services, Division of Local Services, Department of Public Health, Labor Standards, the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission, and the Massachusetts State Police. This team will coordinate an increased enforcement effort across the state to ensure businesses and residents are aware of and are following the COVID-19 orders. By authorizing state and local police to enforce these orders, we can not only increase the number of people who will be out there and able to enforce these measures, but also ensure that there are penalties for those who refuse to make the adjustments that so many other people in Massachusetts have made and continue to make. Secondly, the COVID-19 Command Center will identify higher risk communities that we can work with collaboratively to help them deal with their outbreaks. This will be different in every town, but it will include things like helping a town access additional federal relief funds if circumstances warrant it. It will also likely include significant assistance to ramp up enforcement with respect to businesses, face coverings, and gathering orders. High-risk COVID communities may also see restrictions or shutdowns for parks, playgrounds, businesses, or other entities or locations that are believed to be contributing to the spread in those communities. Next, the team will prepare several other resources for high-risk communities, including public messaging and local government support. The purpose of mobilizing these teams in towns that are designated as high-risk COVID-19 communities is to significantly enhance awareness with respect to what's going on in those communities and help people change their behavior. Residents and visitors need to know that COVID-19 is on the rise in those communities and need to have the tools working with us and with their local officials and local boards of health to act accordingly. Our goal is to help parents, families, individuals, and others make the smart decisions that they need to make with respect to their daily activities. For instance, parents everywhere should reconsider having big play dates, and parents in high-risk towns should really avoid spending time with other families, certainly large group gatherings. People should think twice about hosting or attending a gathering of any size, especially when they know the virus has flared up in their community. We hope that more information and a more visible presence with respect to enforcement will help people deal with the very real issues that their communities are facing together and help stop the spread. As I've said, we're starting what I would describe as a new phase in the battle against COVID. Our people here in Massachusetts have worked exceedingly hard over the past several months and have been responsible and collaborative participants in helping us kill the virus. Everybody's sacrificed a lot, from personal to their professional lives. Everybody's been good sports when asked to stay home and wear face coverings. We've been blessed by the grit and dedication of many essential workers and healthcare workers who show up every day to help keep us safe. But now we are seeing the virus escalate in certain communities around the Commonwealth, and we have to put together a plan working together to stop it. We're very grateful for everyone's vigilance and their support, but this fight against COVID-19 is far from over, and all of us need to work together to do the things that have proven to be successful in defeating it previously.